All right, Frank Root from Team Losi Racing, back with you again, adjusting my chair multiple times, trying to get comfortable. I've been sitting in it a lot today. So I'm in my garage. We're doing a live build of the 22X-4. And what we're doing is we're pretty much going bag by bag, and that way people can, come in when they feel like they want to gain some more info. And then when they go back to watch it later, they don't have to look through 3.5, 4 hours, whatever, to find the shock section. They can just watch the part that's the shock bag. So what I've been doing also today is I've been bringing on a different TLR team driver into every video, and none of them is Dakota Fenn. And we're doing that because we have a lot of great drivers on our team and a lot of guys that represent us in different parts of the country and have had stellar results and RC careers of their own. And it's going to be a focus to allow you guys to get to know more people on the team nationally. And then also that allows you to understand who's in your region that you can go race with. So I'm going to bring in now Mr. Tom Rinderknecht.
What's up, guys? How are we doing?
Hey, Tom, how are you?
Doing great. Just chilling after some away from Corona testing today with the nitro cars with Fuller. So
nice.
Just ready to chill, talk to Frank, talk about the X4. It's going to be fun.
All right. So we're doing the Facebook Live build, and I kind of introduced you as Tom Rinderknecht. Why don't you tell everybody where you're from, where you race at, maybe a couple of your big wins, and then how your time with TLR has been so far.
Yeah, so I'm Tom. I'm from Ankeny, Iowa, and I race at the RC Compound in Des Moines, Iowa. It's a 10-scale track. It's really, really awesome to have a nitro track and a 10-scale track from Brad Horst. He's really been able to help Mason and Caden and I all become a lot better. And so some of my big wins obviously came this year. I was able to win the Reedy Race in four-wheel drive with the new X4, which was really special to me just because, all the guys have put in so much time, and I know how hard they work on it, and to go out there and perform and show it off to everybody before it can come out is really special. So that's definitely one of my biggest wins. And, once I got on TLR, I've always been really excited with how the team has been. And now that I've been on the team for a while, I'm starting to figure out, different things that I like. And it's been great. I'm super excited to continue with TLR from this year and further on.
Awesome. So, yeah, I mean, Tom, we went into Reedy Race, and we really felt like between yourself, Mason, Aaron, Charlie Majorana, Matthew Willoughby, I mean, we had some really some studs basically in the open class. Like, we really felt confident going in that this was our year to win at least one class, if not both. And you drove some absolutely stellar mains in the four-wheel drive class, and you pulled it off. I mean, kind of, give us the quick rundown. Like, how did it go? How was your car, and what helped you get over the finish line?
Yeah, I mean, from the first practice, I go out there for the first run on the track. I run some of like the old tires I ran at my track, and I was like, oh, this thing already feels so good. Like, I was able to get the rhythm section down, and I was just feeling confident the whole weekend with both my two-wheel and my four-wheel. So I was just kind of driving off of the confidence that I had. I left my cars very much the same. I think I changed maybe one or two things total with both cars. So, but obviously both of the mains were really good. I was able to stay clean. Had some really nice driving from all my teammates. Aaron Kaufman put a lot of pressure on me in A1. Made me shake a little bit up there on the stand. But it's always awesome to be battling with, especially like one of your better buddies, that's on your team. Got to run with Aaron. I had good battles with Mason. And I'm always running with, Charlie and all those guys. So it's really cool just to have like that bond off the track and then go out there and just battle it out at the highest level. Like, that was just so much fun. Like, it was almost like you couldn't be nervous just because of how cool like the whole thing was.
Yeah. Awesome, dude. Well, I mean, you did great. I was I don't know if you remember, I was marshaling out on the track, and I was it was kind of nerve-wracking because I would only see you for maybe like a half a lap. So you'd go on the other side of the track where the rhythm section was. And I just kind of like, okay, hopefully everything works out. And he rolls through my side in the lead still. And but yeah, man, I was really, for me, I mean, I was probably more nervous watching you guys run than I was racing myself. So yeah, it was awesome. And you did a great job, obviously. And we did go ahead and take Tom's full Reedy Race setup. He sent it to me after Reedy Race. It's up on tlracing.com on the product page for the 22X4. So you can see his full setup. It is a little bit different than what we've been running on, than Dakota's been running, which is kind of the other setup that most of the guys are running with. But we're talking like front pills. I think you ran stiff as L mud guards, a couple minor tweaks, but just made you more comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, we're still within like 5 or 6 changes of the kit setup, so it was just a few fine-tuning things for me. Obviously, I don't think many people drive like Dakota does. Very few do that. You know, he's at a next level just with how much steering he likes in the car. So for me, I just kind of have to numb down the setups a little bit from what Dakota runs, and it seems to be really good for how I like to drive.
Awesome. So, all right. So what the purpose of the video, we're having you on. We're going to kind of chat, banter, answer some questions as they pop up, but we're also building bag letter G here. So I'm going to get going on that. And basically we're going to do bag G here, and bag G is the outer front suspension. So we build like the caster block, the spindle, the front CV axle, and the front sway bar, and build all of those in bag G. Oop, I got ahead of myself. So that's bag G3, G2, and then G1 here. And I'm going to do bag G1, set G2 and G3 here off to the side. So this is the sway bar assembly. Tom, what sway bars are you running on your car right now?
I just run the kit sway bars, the 1.0 in the front and the 1.2 in the rear. Okay. I've tried going stiffer, and I really don't like how the feeling is. So I feel like the kit sway bars for me have worked the best, but I can see in like a really high grip situation where you maybe want to go up in sway bars. But for me, I've kind of like the reactivity of the 1.0 in the front and the 1.2 in the rear.
Okay, cool. Well, that's what I'm running too. Just seems to be a really good balance. And yeah, kind of sticking to that. So we have here front sway bar, and it's probably going to be hard to see on the cam, but there's a laser etch on the bar that says the thickness. So this one says 1.0. Now what we're going to do here, I'm actually going to turn to the right page on the manual just to make sure I do this all in the right order. But I'm going to go ahead and take the sway bar here, and I'm going to go ahead and lay it in the groove here on the front of the gearbox and drop her in. And then there's a little brace here that's made out of composite. Drop that guy in, it kind of seats right in. And then you have a couple of button head M3 screws that are going to secure that if I don't drop them off my driver.
This makes me think of a moment at the Reedy race before the A main. Ryan Dunford was looking at my cars, and he's like, "Hey man, like I don't think your sway bars are set right." And I had my sway bars too tight with the set screw. So making sure that the sway bar is free and not like bound up is very important, because I went out there in the warm-up before the A's, and it was the best the car has been by a mile. Like it made a huge difference. So I'm sure Frank will go over that. He'll show you how to set it properly, and making sure that's correct is very important.
Yeah, and that's why we have the assembly steps in this order. We want to get the sway bar on the car first and make sure that it's free before we put the links on. Because if you put the links on first, it's just harder to tell if the sway bar is free. So what you want to do is, what these set screws are for is you want to take up the gap that we have to leave in here for the different size sway bars, but you don't want to actually lock the sway bar down at all. So you want to minimize the slop, but without taking away the free movement. And so you just kind of tighten it down little by little till the set screw just barely touches the sway bar. So kind of moving it here with one finger while I tighten it with my other hand. So you see there, see how the sway bar stopped moving? And then you just back it up a little bit, and now it's moving free. And then you're going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. Just kind of get it to where it starts dragging, and there it stops moving. And then you just back it up a little bit more and see how it's just super free, flopping around. You definitely don't want it tight. If you're going to air one way or another, you air on the looser side. And then I'm going to use my needle nose pliers here. We have basically the end ball, and then there we go, the end ball, and then we have the link. And I'm going to go ahead and snap those together, and I'm going to use the inside of the pliers where there's no teeth, where it's flat and smooth, so that I don't scratch anything up. I'm going
to keep that black anodizing looking dialed, bro.
Yeah, nice thing about black anodizing is a little bit of Sharpie makes everything look new.
Yeah, I'm digging that. I love the all black look of the cars now. The 2-wheel and the 4-wheel all coming together. Looks amazing.
Yeah, it's been really good. So I'm gonna take these. I'm gonna take these set screws. I'm just gonna get them about halfway in, and then I'm gonna snap these on the suspension arms. Nice and easy. Don't need to, squeeze them too hard. They snap on pretty good. And then go ahead and slide the sway bar into both ends. And on these, for the 22X4, you want to set the end of the sway bar flush to the end of the ball. So basically what I do is I just put my finger on the end of the bar and then move the ball out to my finger and then tighten it down. And I always have the set screw come straight out because you can still reach it when everything's assembled on the car. Shocks don't get in the way or anything. And I also try and hold the ball because if you go and torque down on that screw too much with the thin bar, the 1.0 bar, you can bend the bar a little bit. So this is your front suspension, right? You want it to just be super free, move all around, so that it can absorb all the bumps and all the jumps in the track. It's really kind of an important thing, right?
For sure, man. You got to make sure everything's free, working right. Otherwise, the car's not going to work as consistently. Like, that was the main thing that I felt like with just making sure the sway bar was loose and not all bound up, was just the consistency of the car. And obviously it works better when the suspension can move more freely side to side.
Yeah. Well, and that's what you want is, some people might say, do you want it to be a little stiff so that when it hits the suspension, it doesn't bounce the car around? Well, if the suspension's stiff, then after you hit the bump, the suspension won't drop back down either. So what you want to do is you want to have the suspension movement free, and that makes the car consistent. And then you use the shock package to control the movement.
Absolutely. That's the way to do it.
All right, we're going to build some front CVs here, and these are really easy and straightforward to build. We have our X64 or X74 bones here. Let's see if the camera can pick it up and focus. So X74 millimeter, those are the front drive shafts, and I'm going to use a little bit of black grease. Do you grease your drive shafts, Tom?
Yeah, I typically use the 1-Up Red.
Okay.
For all my CVAs on the 10 scale stuff, but in 8 scale, I like to use the black grease just to, I don't know why I've never used the red on 8 scale. It's just what I've always done, but I've really liked using the red 1-Up, especially at Worlds. That was something that me and Dakota were really focusing on, was making sure that our drive shafts were smooth to make sure we'd get the most grip because the traction was so low. So making sure that, those are clean is always a really easy thing to maintenance your car, and it definitely will help you too.
So one of the things I do here, wrong way. So one of the things I do is I put a little grease in the hole, and then I put the CV, I call it a slug, but put that CV barrel in. And then with the axle, there's 2 sets of holes. You can use either one. They're both the same size and the same offset in the front. And then basically just, there's only 1 set of pins in here. So you just drop the pin in, and it goes all the way through, and it won't come out the other side. It's pretty straightforward. And then you have these molded sleeves, and they just slide right over the axle, and they kind of push a little bit. They're a little bit of a press fit, but you want to press them on, and that way they don't ever want to slide off like when you're working on your car. And that keeps it on. Have you played around with the aluminum sleeves, Tom, or are you still just running the composite?
Yeah. So I kind of have some parts lined up here that I'm going to add to my car that we'll go over later. But yes, I think I'm going to try those out. They look sweet, so Definitely want to get them on the car, test them out, but I've not got a chance to try them. I've been
Okay.
using the molded ones, and I've had zero issues with like breakage or anything. So I think the kit stuff works great, but the bling factor is always what we're going for.
Yeah, I mean, gotta dig the bling. All right,
Oh,
so
for sure.
we're gonna jump into bag G3 here, and we got our front spindle assembly. So we're gonna install these drive shafts into our spindles, and we got some hexes, bearings. So what do you do for bearings? Do you run kit bearings or do you run something different?
So I ran at Reedy Race. I had, I believe, the Trinity ceramic bearings in my car from previous, and then after the race, I talked to Kurt Wanger, and I got a full set of ceramic bearings for my new car after shelving the Reedy one, and I've been really happy with everything. I think the ceramic bearings just keeps the car a bit freer, and just keeps all the temps down and everything, especially for the stock guys. So I just like the freeness of the ceramic bearings. Always feels good. Mentality factor. You got the freest stuff in your car. Not really sure, how much it's really helping you on the track, but it's all about that mentality.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we're gonna assemble these spindles real quick. So I got my spindle here, and I'm gonna go ahead and grab a bearing. The big bearing goes on the outside. We did that bigger bearing for just more durability. And then you put one of the axle spacers in and the inner bearing. And I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side, same thing. Now you take your pre-built CV that we did in the last step here and just go ahead and drop it through the bearings. And it'll go right through there. And then you take your pin that came in this bag, G3, and put it through there in the middle, and then drop the 4mm hex over it. Now, we do have some different hexes. I want to say on your setup, you were running 4.5mm front hexes.
Yeah, so at Reedy Race, I was out there. Like I said, my car was really good from the start, so I had some time to test out a few different ideas. And I just wanted to wind up the front end and see what that would do to get more stability and just make it easier to drive. And for me, like especially in the sweeper, it kept my car, I felt a lot flatter, and it didn't, generate as much like steering. So it was really easy to drive, and I didn't have to worry about traction rolling as much. Because that's what I was kind of fighting was in practice. Like I'd run really fast laps, but I'd come in the sweeper some laps, and it would just traction roll without much warning. So wind up the front end, and I really liked that.
Yeah, that was kind of the nature of that track, right? Like it was a full length straightaway. I mean, we were going in the sweeper at high 30s probably, right? Like
yeah.
I don't know about you, I kept turning my turbo up because the straightaway was probably 120 foot. So
yeah. I mean, it was Mayfield was helping me with some settings, and yeah, dude, you get that thing going. Top end is gnarly at that track. It's just like you're coming in the sweeper and you're just like praying that it's gonna hook. But I mean, once I did that, like I was really confident coming in the sweeper, like especially in the mains. My tires got a bit lower, which I'm not sure if that really gave me a lot more grip, but like I think it was faster in like some of the 180s and stuff. And for whatever reason, it made it traction roll less. So I was like, sweet, okay, I can just come in and just turn the wheel. Wasn't really too worried about it. So that's a change I would recommend if your car's a little nervous, because some of the stuff we run is, we have a lot of steering. We're trying to make up all that corner speed possible. So you can just slow down the reaction a little bit by doing that.
Okay, sweet. Well, that's a good setup tip advice. So we do have these hexes. I mean, they're nice black anodized hexes. It's marked 4.0. So we have 4.0, 4.5, 5.5, and 6.0. We got 5 different hexes to choose from. And for anybody wanting to have black hexes on their 2-wheel, for example, 5.5 is the same as a 22 buggy standard hex. So you can order 5.5 hexes and have black hexes on your 2-wheel.
I've got those on.
So next, we're going to put on these carbon plates. These are the steering plates. Call them Ackerman plates. And you can see there's a single dimple there in the middle. There isn't a number 2 plate yet for the 4-wheel, but we still put a 1 on this just in case there is someday. And then like the other carbon pieces, there's a chamfer on one side and not a chamfer on the other, and the side without the chamfer goes down. So I'm going to go ahead and just screw these guys into each of the spindles. And then I noticed that we do definitely have a couple questions. So once we get done with our bag here, we'll answer any questions that have been asked. So if you guys have any more questions for myself about the four-wheel, or especially for Tom, who's joined me on this video, please feel free to ask away and go ahead and post them in the chat. And we'll
let us know them questions. Let's hear them.
Yep.
Always down to answer anyone's questions in Facebook Messenger. I'm always trying to get back to everybody as quick as I can, but sometimes kind of just blow out and don't get on Messenger very much. So I'll try my best. Huh?
Or you're at school.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've got some classes to do online. Some people are lucky, but it's not too bad. For senior year, get to sit at home, do 2 classes. That's still all right.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
Could be worse, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Could actually have to work or something.
Yeah,
I've been working
just so we do have our ball stud and nut here. There's no spacer. We usually don't, if we're gonna change the bump steer, we usually don't use the spacer on the outside. We usually use the spacer on the rack, just because there's more clearance out there. So it's just a little easier to tune. And then the rack goes the opposite direction in terms of the ball cup. Goes the opposite direction of this one, so they're directly related. You don't run any spacers on your steering spindle ball studs, do you?
I do not. And I run 1 mil on the rack.
Okay, cool.
Currently.
Same.
I don't know. I forget what my Reedy one was, but currently I've got 1 mil on my car.
Yeah. Well, and that's kit setup too, so it's not a bad place to be.
Yeah, for sure. It's always nice to have a kit setup that's close. Kind of give you a good idea.
All right, so we got our spindles together there. Now we're going to jump into our last bag for G. It's G4, and this is the caster block assembly, and then we'll go ahead and put the caster blocks on the car, so that basically complete the front end assembly as a whole. And dropped the part, found it. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and build our caster blocks. So we have our 9-degree caster blocks here. Nice aluminum machined caster blocks come in the kit. Got a laser etch right here on the front with the marking on it, so everybody can see it. We do have 6 and 12-degree options, so a little bit more, a little bit less caster. I like your whistle there, Tom. It was very manly.
Yeah, I was just showing my love for the black chamfered parts.
Yeah. So then we do have our spindle hat bushings here. They go ahead and they go inside the spindle here, and we have basically a medium and a medium. We also have a thin and a thick set that you can get in addition that will basically allow you to lower or raise the spindle compared to the caster block. And this is the left front and the left caster block. So go ahead and get those guys lined up and then grab our screws. And we are screwing into aluminum here, so you definitely want to use a little bit of thread lock. And I'm going to clean these screws with brake clean before I put them in. Do you have any other tips in terms of what works for you, keeping these from coming loose, Tom?
Yeah, brake clean, blue Loctite is definitely the way to go. I've seen, sometimes I've gone a little ham on the Loctite, and it kind of binds up the steering, so you don't want to use too much, but using brake clean and just a little bit of Loctite seems to keep them on there, and I haven't had really any issues with them coming off.
Yeah, it is a good thing to just check them occasionally.
Yeah, for sure.
And then again, you're screwing, through the bushing, so you're like the spindle. You're actually not kind of crushing or tightening down on the spindle, so you can go ahead and go tight on these screws, and you're really not going to hurt anything. And you can see how free the steering is when it's all assembled. So works nice and good with those hat bushings. And then we run the 6mm ball stud here Same thing. I'm going to go ahead and clean it and add some TLR lock and put it in the caster block. So there you go. You have your left front assembly complete. Looks like so. And now we'll do the right front. All right. Have you tuned with any of the different caster blocks yet, Tom?
So on dirt, I normally run the 9. That's like what I run like 90% of the time. But I have like the 12 sometimes when it's, you want to take the initial edge out of the car. Again, one of those tuning options to calm it down initially, just make the reaction a bit slower. Just, if you're running on really high traction, I know Kaufman likes to run those 12s, doesn't he?
I'm not sure. I know he's tried them.
Yeah, I remember he was running him at some races. So, I mean, it's definitely a really good option to have. We've tried them, but for me, I kind of like the 9 just because the tracks I run on are a lot smaller. So I need that initial steering to make sure I have, I can keep up the corner speed and all that stuff.
Okay. The setup I have from Aaron is from Reedy Race, where he was third, also on the podium with you, and he did run 9s at that race at least.
He ran 9s. Okay. I've seen him on his car.
Maybe a CRCRC, because I know that they were definitely
that's when it was. Yeah.
Yeah. That was. How would you describe the grip at that race?
Ridiculously high bite.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty good example of when to use. Maybe try the 12s for sure. Just something real high bite slicks. Definitely good.
So at that race, Aaron ran like pretty. Let's call it non-traditional, different setup, and it made his car for him super easy to drive, and he was going really, really good with it. And Dakota TQ'd and won that race, and he ran pretty much the same setup that he's run everywhere. So I think it just goes to show that the car has a good amount of speed, kind of regardless. Now it just comes down to how does each driver tune it for their driving style.
Yeah, that's like I was saying earlier, Dakota's setups, they're really fast most of the time. They have a lot of steering, a lot of traction, and obviously he makes it work. He's winning almost all the time, it seems like. So, he's been doing amazing. It's always really nice to, have somebody like Dakota on the team to kind of, point you in the right direction. Even if you don't like his setup stuff, he can help you with like mental tips and stuff like that. So having a pro driver with that much experience is always really nice.
Yeah, he's kind of the team leader on the pro side of things,
Yeah, he's cool. He's just chilling, man.
Yeah, he's been doing it a while. He has that mental toughness and maturity, and we have yourself, Aaron, Mason, Charlie, Caden. We got a bunch of young kids kind of coming up the ranks, and it's really great to have Dakota there. They can help. So
yeah, for sure.
All right, I'm gonna jump back on this build here, and I went ahead and assembled the right side. I got the left side. Now we're gonna install these, and it's pretty straightforward. You just go ahead and put the CV in the out drive, even though technically you don't really need to right now, and then just get the caster block lined up in the arm. You notice the front hinge pin here has a little bit of a groove. Let's get the camera to focus. A little bit of groove in that far end. And what that does is it just tells you that this is the front hinge pin. The rear hinge pin does not have a groove. A set screw doesn't go in it or anything. It just marks it so that you know, oh, hey, that's the right length for the front. And then you basically just drop that hinge pin in, and you take this little screw, which is the same size as the bleeder screws for our shocks, and you just thread it in the hole and basically just covers the front of the pin so that the pin can't come out. And that's it. Pretty straightforward. How do you like the captured hinge pins, Tom? It's kind of something new we have on this car for TLR.
Yeah, it's something that I'd been used to in the past with Associated, and I think both options work really well. But it's really nice just to use the screw, pop it right on out, make a quick adjustment, change your caster block. It's always just really quick and easy to work on that way. So I think that's just like the most user friendly. I'm not sure if it's really handling wise, but just having something really easy to work on is nice knowing. Just because sometimes you go back to the pit and you're like, oh, that's so hard to change. But it's like, I feel like on this car, it's like, oh, that's 8 screws. Oh, that's 4 screws. Oh, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
like it's always really easy to work on, which I think, keeps you more motivated to keep working on the car.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So now we have our front suspension pretty much together here. So I'm just going to grab turnbuckles from over here that we did earlier. We have our steering and camber link for the left side, steering camber link for the right side. So basically, I'm just going to go ahead and grab these and make sure that they're oriented the right way and just pop them all on. Now, you can do these with pliers. It'll be a little bit easier. I tend to just try and do them with my hands because I don't like I try to
Frank's just strong.
avoid, I try to avoid marking up the ball cups when I can. So this is always the hardest one because the ball cup's not straight.
Clutch on the live stream. Look at that.
Woo! No pressure.
Frank's got big man hands, so he's all good. He's going to pop the ball cups on nice.
Yeah. I might have...
I'm getting texts and stuff. That's funny. People are
Everybody's blowing
up stuff. Yeah. I've been looking and just like seeing who's messaging me stuff. I'm like, I wonder what they said.
Oh, man.
I'll get
I'm sure that we have...
after. Yeah, let me know in the comments, not on my phone number, my Snapchat. Let's hit them in the comments, and we'll let you know earlier than something else.
There we go.
Facebook Messenger doesn't.
I got all 8. I came through. All right, so we got our ball cups on. We got kind of rough, a little bit off, but I mean I just eyeballed them. We'll adjust everything when the car is ready. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the shocks on, and this is kind of the last step for the front end. And the shocks are pre-built here. We did that in bag D. So you're going to go ahead and put one of the shock bushings here on the top. On the other side, and you just put the eyelet over. And I always put the bleeder screw to the inside so that it doesn't get any dirt in it. You put yours to the inside or the outside?
Inside, always.
Yes.
Can't get that dirt.
All right, just making sure.
And I've actually been liking the plastic caps over the aluminum ones for whatever reason.
Okay.
I feel like the plastic ones seem to be working really good.
Nice. All right, and then when you put these nuts on, these flange nuts, you don't want to over tighten them. Like I did this one on purpose. You can kind of see like the shock doesn't really move free. You need to make sure that you just snug them. All you want to do is keep the shock from falling off, but the shock needs to have free movement like this one. So that's kind of the goal, is to get nice free movement. And then we're going to go ahead and mount the shock to the arm using the inside hole. And this is one that you really don't want to go too crazy on with the driver. I just tend to get mine pretty close and then finish them off by hand.
Yeah, like if you're ever using like the stiff as L arms, using a bit of black grease helps with that. So that way you don't strip the screw head out, just because sometimes it can be really tight when it's brand new. Yeah. So that can always help if you're ever using the stiff as L plastics.
For sure. I agree 100%. All right, so we got our front suspension there. We went on the inside hole. Oh, upside down. Went on the inside hole, and you could see that we have here the screw for the spring cup is towards the outside. Because if it was on the inside, it would actually be hitting the arm, and it'd be limiting your travel. So yeah, that's really important to make sure that you have those going towards the outside.
Shout out to my boy Charlie. You got to put those buddies to the outside, otherwise she's a little bound up.
Uh-oh, Charlie makes a little boo-boo in the pits?
Yeah, but we got him all fixed up. He catches my mistakes too, so just have to give him a hard time,
He was going really fast at Desert Classic. I was really impressed.
Yeah, man.
Especially in the 4-wheel drive class.
Yeah, he's always ultra motivated, which is always nice to be around. He's always trying to be like, come on, we can do this. Like, it's always really nice to have the positive energy to bounce off your teammates.
Awesome.
Just makes everything a bit more fun, a bit more exciting.
Cool. So we got that bag done. We got bag, let's see, what bag is this? G? We got bag G done. The front suspension is pretty much complete. Tom and I are going to answer questions that we have in the chat. And then afterwards, I'm going to do the rear bag probably with somebody else. Undecided still if that's going to be tonight or tomorrow morning. But I'm going to do the rear suspension and I'll have a different team driver on so we can join them. But if you guys have any questions for myself or Tom, feel free to add them now. Hold on one sec while I fix the feed. All right, so Tom can probably hear me now, and I can probably hear Tom now.
Oh, yeah, I got you.
Let's see. All right, you can hear me?
Yep, I got you.
I can hear you. All right. So we got myself and Tom here. Let's go ahead and I'm going to roll through some of the questions here. I hadn't really been keeping a good eye on it. Tyler Witt says, "What's up, Tom?" Hunter King, yay, Tom. Woo. Let's see. John L says that 6 feet away we need to be, and we're less than 3 inches away on the screen. So shame on us for not social distancing.
Social distance, bro. Wash your hands, Frank.
Oh, yeah.
Brake clean works good.
Yeah. All right. Tony Griff says, "I can't stop watching. I ordered mine last night. First time I've been on the leading edge of a new car. All the reviews and input I've seen have been sick. Thanks for doing these." You're very welcome. And thank you, Tom.
Oh, yeah. So what it's all about, we're always here to help you guys. So again, any questions about setup, anything like that, Facebook Messenger is the best place to let me know. Always down to help anybody with any car.
Awesome. So we got another question here. This one's just for you. Travis Fisher says, "Tom, how cheating is the 22X4 over the 4-wheel drive you ran in the past?"
Well, it's a lot better. It does everything better than all of them, I'd say.
Yeah.
I haven't really got along with many 4-wheels. I've got along with 2. The B44.3 is my first 4-wheel, and now this one.
Yeah. That's good. I like it. All right. Let's see. All right. Hunter King says, "Tom, talk about options to lighten up the car." So I know you had some parts that you were planning on adding to your buggy, different options that we have. So why don't you go ahead and run through those right now?
All right. So yeah. So first off, titanium turnbuckle set right here. Part numbers on there. Oh, there we go. Right way.
334
Yeah, I always like to run these. Super nice. Just always looking dialed, extra light. So that's definitely one of the ways, keep the suspension weight down. It's always really important. And then I have the composite internal gears. And I will be getting the ring and pinion soon when those come out. And I'll be installing those. So,
yeah.
But yeah, that's the main options to lighten up the car. Also, just titanium screws, lightweight battery, thin pack, all that stuff.
Okay. I mean, I think for me, the composite internal diff gears are awesome. I see no reason not to run them. Dakota's, I think, had the same set in his car for like 4 months now, and that's like, I don't know, 6 races on 4th. So if they're going to live for him, I think everybody else
drives a little hard. So I think.
And then we also make so from TLR you can get titanium ball studs and titanium shock mounts, which are good because they're light, but titanium is expensive. Something that you can do really inexpensively is get aluminum nuts. So we sell black aluminum nuts both with and without flanges to replace the steel nuts on the car. And I want to say aluminum's like 40% the weight of steel and titanium 60% the weight of steel. So you actually save more weight going to aluminum than titanium anyway. So that's a pretty cheap way to shave some grams off your car.
Absolutely.
But yeah, if you're running mod, a thin, like an LCG battery is for sure the way to go.
Absolutely, for sure. I've really liked the center diff as well, but the slipper is also lighter, I believe, for 13.5, correct?
If you have the plastic gears in the center diff, it's actually even lighter than the slipper.
Oh, well, there we go.
Yeah, but yeah, they're both really very light. I mean, if you run the plastic gears in the center diff, it's very, very light. The slipper is already super lightweight. So yeah, they're good tuning options.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's see. Let's see what else we got. All right, Jeremy Taylor says, how did you say you made it have less traction roll, and does that work for the two-wheeler?
So yeah, so for me, I went at Reedy Race. We had a super long straightaway into a sweeper. So we were coming in, like Frank was saying, probably just over 30, 40 miles an hour. So I decided to go up to the 4.5 hex. It's just a really, cheap option. It's not like you're working on it or anything. Just two screws, slap it on, throw it down, And yeah, it made the car traction roll less in the sweeper, just made it a bit easier to drive in all the sections. So I thought that was just really good for what I like there. But when I go to smaller tracks, I like the 4.0 hex just because I get that initial steering so I can keep up my corner speed.
Okay, and those are front hexes, right?
Yep.
And you run, what hex do you run in the rear, the 5.0?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which is should be kit. So, all right. Let's see, Hunter King says you only have 2 classes. I envy you.
Yeah, only a couple. Yeah, just 1 AP class, I think, or no, just 2 DMAT classes. So, not too bad.
All right, so Jonathan Mint asks, would you run the 12-degree caster blocks on carpet as an example? So far, I've been running the 6-degree caster blocks on carpet. And it's kind of the other way because when you run more caster, it does make it enter smoother, but it makes the car more aggressive when you get deeper in the wheel. And on carpet, it's all about trying to keep the car flat and maintain speed. So far, I've been on 6s, but we definitely haven't spent as much time testing on carpet as we have on clay. So, I mean, in 6 months, maybe we'll love 12s. I really don't know for sure, but so far, I've been preferring the 6s.
Yeah, I really haven't been able to test much on carpet, but on clay, I feel like you're mostly feeling the less initial steering. Like I feel like when I put on the 12s, it's not really like the car keeps turning. It's just mostly the initial steering I feel, but kind of depends on how you drive.
Let's see. Jim Silve says Tom needs to make it a tradition to have his birthday in Arizona.
Yeah, dude, that was super fun. Hanging out with everybody, being in the nice weather when it's all cold, rain, and snowing at home. So, yeah, definitely would like to bring more cupcakes to everybody. Mom, pass them out for all of them. Shout out to Mom. I'm on TV. I'm famous or something. So.
That was I gotta be honest, that was one of the funnest races I've gone to in a long time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It didn't go exactly like we wanted in two-wheel, but I think the attitude in the pits was just really good. Everybody was positive and pulling for each other, and it was a fun race. I had a lot of fun, so it kind of makes me even more bummed that we're not out racing right now because I know how much fun we can have.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully we can get on the track soon and get this whole situation figured out and under control.
All right. Yeah. So Conrad, I don't know how to pronounce that. Let's say BC asks fuel nats this year for Tom.
Absolutely. I'm signed up. We'll see if it happens, but I got the entry. I made it.
Yeah, I think it's one of those. As long as it happens, we should be good. All right, got a little bit of a longer one here. So Jeremy Taylor, thanks, guys. General question. When tuning cars, is there a process you move through the same way to tune? Like, I look for this, then dial in that, then move to this. So do you go to a track and you're trying to dial in your car, do you start with tires and then go to shocks and then go to suspension, or is it just kind of you go by your feel, your gut?
I'd say it's more feel, and like when I test and I make changes, I write down that stuff. So when I go to these races, like I'll have a certain feeling in the car, or I'll like see that the car's dumping too much in the front or it's too soft in the rear. I can go to my notes, and when I see that on the notes that it says that it does that, like mentally, I'm like, okay, like this is gonna be a really good setup change because I've already tested it before. And then I feel like when I go out there and drive on different tracks, like I'm feeling very similar things. So really knowing like some of your favorite changes is important because for me, I like to stay close to the standard setup that I run and just make little tiny changes like a spring or a shock location or camber link or something like that.
Okay, awesome. I'd say for me, I mean, Tom answered pretty well. I really go by feel. Sometimes I'll make no changes. Sometimes I'll make multiple changes at a time if I know the direction I need to go. And yeah, just you got to go by feel. I mean, I would say the first thing that I make sure is that the tires are right, because kind of if your tires are wrong, you're not gonna be able to feel the rest of it very good. So, I mean, that would be kind of the only caveat I would add to that is make sure you get your tire game right. And I know that was some of Dakota's struggle at Desert Classic in two-wheel drive was just the track didn't come around very quickly in practice. And then by the time we were racing, it was like, oh, shoot, we do need some changes, and we're kind of having to make money. All
Tires
right.
are always mixed.
Scott Scarvelli. Tom, have you felt the thin battery improves the handling over normal size?
Yeah, I feel like the car is just much more nimble and more balanced side to side. I feel like it jumps straighter and it lands a lot better just because of the lighter weight. So I also feel like in mod it's a bit easier to drive because like I feel like when you run the big pack, like the first like 4 or 5 laps are like gnarly power, and then it
Super.
chills
Yeah.
out. But like the thin pack, it's just always I feel like it's a steady from start to finish. And I run typically the Spectrum 4100, but if there's a big long race, I'll run the 6300 pack. But the Spectrum 4100's been my go-to on the wheeler.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Scott, for the question. Jeremy Taylor, any parts needed for carpet? I'll answer this one because I have a little bit more carpet experience. I think you need some stiffer springs. You probably only need to go like one spring rate stiffer all the way around. I do the setup that I posted. I think I was running X-ray springs. Let me check real quick. And that's one thing on TLR. If we need a different spring to make the car feel right, we will run them, but we'll also put them on our setup sheets. We're not going to make a hush-hush secret and pretend like we were running something different. So, yeah, the last time I ran carpet, I had 4-dot X-ray front springs and 3-dot rear springs. So that would be a good start with those. I am running the 6-degree caster blocks, which I would say I'd keep the 9s to start, and then I would the LCDs in the front I think are a pretty big improvement for carpet because you're just giving a lot of lock and it takes a little bit of bind out of the front and helps the car steer more, especially center off. So I think that's probably the number one part I'd recommend. Other than that, I mean, you can get the different drive shaft set to move the motor forward, but I've run quite a bit of carpet without doing that, and I would say it's an improvement, but it's not lighting the world on fire. It's not night and day. So, did you read that comment?
Oh, Brunson, what's up, man? How you doing? Yeah, I'm trying to be on that live gang like you are.
Let's see.
Man, hope it's all been well. Running some nitro, I see. I'm trying to do the same thing. So
there you go. We got Ivor Bigum says hi from the UK. It's 5:30 in the morning. He's watching us talk about four-wheel drive buggies.
For me, man. Hope you have a good day.
Let's see. Hunter King says he wants to make the Desert Classic someday, and he'll sleep on the floor.
All right, dude. Put you under the bed.
Yeah. All right, this is a good question from Garrett Ling. 7.5 motor for the 22X-4. What motor do you run in your car, Tom?
So I run the Hobby Wing 6.0 with standard rotor, and I feel like that's been the best for me. I know some people run the 6.5, which is a bit slower, but for me, I feel like the 6.0 is more smooth on the bottom end, and then I can limit the top end, and the car runs cooler, and everything is just running a lot more consistent throughout the run.
Okay. Cool. I don't I run a 5.5 in mine. I run the motive stuff. Well, I run a 5.5 with a 12 mil rotor.
Okay.
So aggressive wind, a tame rotor, and when you run that small rotor, for me, it gives you a really smooth bottom end and a lot of top end. So it's kind of a good way to trade where you get your feel and your power band.
I can't imagine how fast your 4-wheel is. Your 2-wheel is a rocket after Desert, dude. It's faster than 4-wheel.
Hey, but it was fast, but it was drivable, right?
Oh, for sure. No, dude.
Yeah,
Hey, guess what? Hey, guess what shocks are on my car right now? My 2-wheel.
I know.
The ones you want.
Yeah.
5.0.
Yeah, it's dude.
A reminder for everyone. V2.
Yeah.
V2.
Oh, yep, good call. So we updated the seals, the X-ring seals, and the bushings that go on the bottom of the G3 shocks for the 3 mil shafts. So you see, it says G3 V2
233-060 and 233-061.
So I would recommend those parts to everybody. If you have any of the old seals or bushings, I would just toss them out and replace them with the new ones. So they leak less and they're freer. Let's see here. Josh Payne, does it need a wheelie bar when doing drags?
I would like if Frank would make me a wheelie bar, but I don't think I don't know if he's gonna be wanting to put that time down to make that for me.
Yeah. We got a question here from Austin Lopez. It says, what hop-ups do you recommend to improve either the performance or the durability? So what would let's do like your top 3. What are your top 3 if you were going to order a kit, and then what 3 parts would you add? I got my 3 and you get your 3.
Composite gears, number 1. Okay. Then we
internal.
Got, titanium turnbuckles.
Okay.
Stiff as L side guards.
Okay. Okay, so mine are aluminum servo horn. I think that definitely improves the durability. You don't need it, but man, I really love the aluminum steering rack. I just think it looks too awesome not to put it on the car.
It is really cool. It's chamfered and everything. Yeah, I have it on my car too now. I ran the composite one at Reedy. I can't really tell much of a difference, but dude, it is so badass.
It looks awesome. Yeah. So I would say those 2, and then I would probably go the carbon electronics plate. It makes no difference in performance. If anything, you're adding a couple grams to your car that you don't necessarily need. But dude, for wrenching, when you have that,
so easy.
Yeah, you can take the whole front end off with 6 screws, and you take the whole rear end off with 6 screws. And then, you can strip down your chassis just to clean it, just for fun, because everything comes off so easy. You don't have anything taped to the chassis.
Yeah, so that's always super nice, just to make everything easier, like I said.
Yep. Jim says, yeah, we know about the shocks on your 2-wheel, don't we, Tom?
I mean, that's tough, dude.
That's where you're supposed to say something like, Jim, isn't it past your bedtime?
No, I like Jim. He kept me motivated, keeping me doing my stuff, checking my car. I appreciate it. So it's super nice to have somebody on my case. I need that. Yeah,
for sure. Jim's a great guy. All right, so we got another question here from Jeremy Taylor. He's asking a lot of questions, but that's good because that's what we're here for, to answer and give information and share it. He says, if I wanted to become better at driving and don't have the time to just run and run, so other than wheel time, is there something to do to get the most out of your time on the track to get better?
So, I mean, I have a few things that I like to do. Mostly, I don't know. For me, sometimes I'll get really motivated about working on my car, and I'll just rebuild. I'll focus on one car, rebuild the whole thing, and then go to the track the next day and just focus on it. But yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is, I think VRC is one of the things that is really nice. If you have just a little bit of time, even if you play 15 minutes, it's not exactly perfect, but it's time, it's fun. And if you do some of the events, you kind of get the same feeling when you race. So it's always nice to, be more consistent. I feel like is what it helps me with. I don't feel like I'm any faster because I play it, but it's just consistency. You could just restart a qualifier if you're not doing good. So you can really just kind of really perfect yourself. Where as an RC, you get 3 qualifiers and that's it. You're done. So running practice qualifiers. Practice nitro mains even. I've done that before. It's a 45-minute main just because it's hard for me to keep my focus because I haven't really ran 8 scale much. So doing that really helps too. I mean, I've heard of some cool things to learn how to be good, like setting a brick 2 cars wide in the corners, and if you go wide, you break. So you never go wide.
I'm not doing that.
I'm gonna do it.
So my couple things are, if time is your limiting factor and not really not money as much, Jeremy, I would just make sure that when you go to the track that your car's in good shape and you have good tires on your car, so that when you do run, you're getting good running in. So that's one. And then if you go on a practice day, I think when you go on a race day, go out and practice, get used to the track, get used to your car, try a couple things, breaking your tires, whatever. Then go race and you get that good time on the clock where you really kind of focus. But if you go on a practice day, you never get that at the end of the day. You never get to take what you did in the first part of the day and put it against the clock. So I would recommend, get 2 or 3 runs into the day and then start going out to run, but setting a 5-minute timer on your radio. So what I'll do is I'll go out and I'll do 2 laps and I'll pull over at the start of the straightaway. I'll click the button and I'll go. And so I'm actually driving, trying not to crash. not just going out there to try and do fast lap after fast lap.
Yeah, like, the other day I was out practicing with Mason and Brad, the owner of the track, and he was like, how come you just pull off? Like, you're not even done with your tank. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm just got done with my run. I'm going to test something else now. Just, you can test more consistently without, like, messing your car up more. So your car's more consistent.
Mm-hmm.
It's not getting worn out as much. So definitely on practice days, I really agree with Frank. Just having good practice, quality practice, and not just trying to throw heaters. That's always fun, with your buds sometimes. But if you're really trying to get better and improve your skills, you can go out there and practice and just focus on not crashing and being consistent. It's going to be the best for you.
Yeah. So you want to practice how you race, right? So if you practice
Absolutely.
doing hot laps and you have a lot of mistakes, you're probably going to race like that too.
Yep.
All right. We got another question here from Shane McCall. 3mm or 3.5mm shock shafts and standard or thin pistons on turf. Have you run on turf before, Tom?
No, I don't really know about that stuff.
I got it. I got you.
Thank
All right. 3mm shafts, thin pistons, no conversation. They're way better, both of them. So I would just go with that. And then here's our last one. So we can, I think it's past your bedtime, Tom. I don't want to get in trouble with Heather,
Yeah, she's probably still up watching this, I hope, at least. Make
All
fun
right.
of me after.
Hunter King says Jeremy himself and Tom, they've been playing VRC Pro, and it's a good way to get some practice in.
Yeah, dude. Me and Hunter have been having some good battles. We did one of the season races. There's like 250 guys.
Wow.
We were up there battling for first, second, and third. So that was fun.
Nice.
I always do like beating you though, Hunter. That was nice. But I'm expecting you to practice some more, and we'll be having closer battles. It'll be fun. Can't wait.
Here comes the trash talk.
Oh yeah.
All right, so we got a lot of questions there. Had really good viewership for Tom. I want to thank Tom. I want to thank you for taking the time to come on. And we're doing these build videos. We're building a 22X4. You guys are seeing exactly how I build a car, right, wrong, or otherwise. It's how I do it, and it's worked pretty good. And just trying to show little tips, make it a little easier for you to build, and then reaching out with some of my TLR buddies, my friends and teammates here to make the conversation a little bit more lively, to help answer some questions and to give you some different perspectives on how to tune and set up your cars. I think we're going to do one more thing real quick because I haven't done this before, but I think it'll be fun. I'm going to do a screen share, and we're going to look at Tom's setup real quick.
Ooh.
So let's do this. All right, so there's me and Tom on the side, and this is my setup. We're going to go to Tom's setup, and what we're going to do, Tom, is we really want to just highlight the differences between the kit setup and what you ran at Reedy Race. So it says, Tom, Reedy Race. It should say champion somewhere since you won. So congratulations again.
Thank you.
All right. It was a clay track, pretty open. We're running, like 17-second lap times, high 17s and four-wheel, right?
Yeah, and then like 18s, two-wheel.
Yeah, on a track that's like 140 by 70. So
we were hauling.
Yeah, it was a really fast layout. So open for sure. It was very smooth. It was hard packed. It was it's clay, but it was on the drier side for sure. Medium high grip, I agree with that. And you had ghost pins on for the main events. So we got +1 toe, -1 camber, and you ran 17 millimeters of ride height.
Yep.
Okay.
It's pretty standard for what I run. I'll go 1 mil lower or higher typically, depending on the grip, but it's always pretty close.
Okay. 3 millimeter shock shafts. So that's kit pistons. You ran thin pistons, right?
Yep.
So, and then 40 weight oil. So kit oil's 42. So just down 2.5. And then you didn't run any limiters in the front and 23 millimeters of stroke.
Yep.
Kit shock position. So you ran the associated V2 yellow front springs, and in the rear, we'll just jump down. You ran TLR pink.
Yep.
All right. So a little bit of a different spring combo there. Something worth trying. And you ran. Did you run the brace from the steering post all the way to the gearbox in the front?
That's actually incorrect. I just ran the posts.
Okay.
I did not have the front thing on, so.
It's all good. And let's see, composite rack. Pretty common here. Here's one of the big changes that you made was those 4.5 front hexes.
Yeah, 4.5 hexes. Just calm the car down in the high-speed sections, really making it easier to drive.
And then you also did the stiff as L mud guards, where kit mud guards are the soft ones. So another good change that you liked.
Felt like that was better just with overall consistency when the grip came up. It's just something I'd been trying, and I just thought it was going to be something good for that track, and I put it on, and I never took it off. So I don't even think I ever tried this soft, to be honest.
Cool. All right, so 7,000 front oil, and we'll just jump down here, and 200 in the center, and 500 in the rear. So that's kit oils for the front and the rear, and then 200,000 you ran in the center.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, the motor in the back kit position, you ran a center diff and not a slipper. So that's one change there. And then the pills, you ran, let's see. So you ran a kit B block, and then you ran up on the A block, up and out, or up and in, number one, instead of down and in, which is kit. And then 0.5 up in the C block instead of 1 up, which is kit, and then the D block kit.
Yep, just took a little bit of anti-squat out of the rear. Kind of something I had been doing before the race had started, so I guess that's just what I started with.
Okay. And then looking at the rear setup here, I mean, you're pretty much running kit setup with the exception of the 35 weight oil. Kit oil's 40. You ran 35. So you ran 40, 35, which I think is pretty common for us on medium grip tracks, and high grip, we tend to go like 42, 37.
Yep.
But kit pistons and that 5 weight difference just seems to feel right for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know some of the major 4 wheels have ran like 7.5 weight difference, like that I've ran in the past. But for me, the 5 weight difference front to rear was the best balance. And like Frank said, when the track gets higher bite, like a desert, I did run 42 and 37 for shock oil instead of the 40 and the 35.
Okay, cool. So pretty standard setup here. We ran it was a handout tire, but these are the tires you normally run anyway. The JC ellipses and the silver compound with JC stock foams. What sauce do you normally run if it's not a handout sauce?
I'll typically use, like recently I've been using yellow liquid wrench, but if I need something more aggressive, I've used PB Blaster. But I feel as like on the silver tire, they're a little too hard on the tires, so I just run the yellow liquid wrench for the silvers.
Okay. And then here with your electronics, you run the M17 Spectrum 6240 servo, Hobbywing XR10 Elite ESC. There's some of your settings, and then you ran that 6.0 like you mentioned, and the Spectrum 6300 battery.
Yep, big pack for Lie. Got to make sure we're gonna finish.
Cool.
Got to get that extra milliamps. Still drove really good with the big pack.
Yeah, and at that race, it's just not an option. You got to run a big pack to make the 10 minutes and modified.
Yep.
I like this note here. You like that one? Champion of 4-wheel drive.
Oh, did you put that in there? That's style.
I got your back, bro.
Appreciate it.
Right there. Nice and big.
Yeah.
And then you ran Lunsford titanium screws, upper and lower. So
yep.
That's Tom's setup from Reedy Race. Pretty straightforward. Well, anyways, all right. We've been on long enough. We've been on like an hour. Thank you. Thank you, Tom, for coming on. Great job to everybody. I think I'm going to call it a night now. We'll try and finish up the rest of the build in the morning. And I'll probably start on it early. We're probably going to have it done by noon. So when you wake up and you get bored, come and hang out with us for a little while and ask some questions. Awesome. And Tom, you want to thank your sponsors real quick?
Yeah, thanks to TOR, Hobbywing, J Concepts, Spectrum, Ultimate Racing Engines, Beach RC, and the RC Compound, and also Boom RC now. Can't wait to get my new shirts in, so we're going to have the correct colors and everything, and add some of the new stuff on there. Yeah, you got the dialed in.
Yeah, I got Bob from Stick It One does my stuff, and he's it's really been awesome having him kind of become more involved there and take over. But yeah, been treating me good, so I know Boom does really good stuff, and there's good options for us out there.
Yeah, Mike Garrison, I've stayed at his house a few times with Cole Hendrickson going to Fastlane. I really like the family. I know they've been having some tough times recently, but I really appreciate them. Even Mike's like, oh, I'm sorry, I haven't got your shirts, but I can't race anyways. So I really appreciate it, Mike, and hope everything's well.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, Tom. Thanks, everybody. We will catch you guys tomorrow.
See you guys later.